Hi there. Sorry I look a little ridiculous today. I've been pretty sniffly and sneezy today, so I'm not feeling my very best. I'm probably not looking it. Or I haven't done an update video in a few days at least. Mostly because we've had quite a few bumps and interruptions to the Sleep Lady plan that we were doing. Sorry, I keep looking down. I have some notes and I want to make sure I get everything right for you guys. I think Wednesday was the last time I made a video, and it was covering the Tuesday night, the night before, which was Tuesday night. She had gone down with no fussing or anything. And then Wednesday night, it was back to normal. She was not feeling well pretty much all day Wednesday, and she was very clingy and didn't want to be put down, and she just wasn't feeling good. So that night, of course, she had a hard time going to sleep, and we kind of broke the Sleep Lady method, which it's not technically breaking it, because it does say in the book that if your baby's sick, then you kind of like pause, tend to your baby, do what you need to do to help them be comfortable and take care of them, and then you resume after they feel better. So that night we rocked her to sleep, and she finally went to sleep, and that was that. Thursday night we were to the point where you move to the doorway or the opposite side of the room, so that you're like as far away from the crib as possible, like right before you go into the hallway. And she was having a hard time again, and me and my husband were sitting there talking, and it was just like we were just thinking about how we're already almost to the hallway. And according to this book, she was only supposedly supposed to cry for like the first couple of days, and then it'll get easier, and then you move your way out of the room, and that's the whole point. But she was still crying hysterically, and we were already almost to the hallway. So as far as I was concerned, it wasn't working. My husband disagreed, but that night when we were talking, he was saying, that he is completely confident that she knows how to put herself to sleep. She does it all the time. She does it for naps during the day. She does it when she wakes up in the middle of the night. And she's done it twice during this whole process on her own when we laid her down. We had like our 2 magical good nights. So he was like completely convinced that she knows how to. She just doesn't want to be laid down and left. She wants to be rocked to sleep. And he was kind of like, I think he was mostly just tired, as we both were. And he was kind of like, however you can get her to sleep, like whatever you need to do and whatever you feel comfortable, like most comfortable doing in order to get her to go to sleep, then do that. Because this, she just wants to go to sleep, and we want her to go to sleep and not cry herself to sleep. And she does know how to put herself to sleep, so it's not like she hasn't learned that yet. Like she already knows how to do that, and we're very confident with her skills of putting herself back to sleep. And I agreed, obviously, because I'd jump at any opportunity to not have to let her cry too much. So that night we, rocked her to sleep, and I did whatever it was I needed to do to get her to go to sleep. She was singing and rocking and crying, and then she finally went down. So let me think. It took a little over an hour that night to get her to go to sleep with the rocking and singing and everything. And that was Thursday night. And then Friday night, we kind of were doing the same thing, because we were kind of like back and forth, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And we were talking about it more, and my husband he was thinking maybe we should just start over with the Sleep Lady and do it again, because we've been off it for the last couple nights, even though she was sick on Wednesday night and it was legitimate. Like we still were, moving away from the whole program for a couple nights there. And so he was like, why don't we just start it all over? He's like, I think we should give it another chance, because I don't know what else there is to do. And I was not so sure about it. Excuse me. I wasn't so sure about it, because in my eyes, it wasn't working. I mean, everything about it I really liked. The idea, the schedule is great. The schedule, I think, really helped a lot, and that part of it was wonderful. But the actual leaving her in there, not leaving her in there, I mean, it was a Sleep Lady method. So like the shuffle, moving from away from the crib, across the room, slowly. I think that was a great idea, but it wasn't working. She was still crying hysterically every night, and I would have to go back over there and soothe her and constantly be at her side trying to help her get back to sleep and calm down, or she'd be pretty much, crying herself to sleep. So I don't know, I just didn't feel like it was really working. And so we sat down and we decided we actually kind of had a little bit of a heated discussion. It wasn't really a full-blown argument, but we were both frustrated, and she was crying a lot, having a hard time going to sleep that night, so we were both kind of like on our edge anyways. And I left to go put her down, and when I came back, he had, we both calmed down, and he had gone and started doing some more research, and he looked up a method that was more like pretty much as gentle an attachment as you can get without like really co-sleeping with them or like holding them and rocking them to sleep. And basically what it is picking them up every time that they cry, which we were, from the book that we read, the Sleep Lady book, that was something that kind of indicated a sleep crutch, which is bad. But, we had tried the Sleep Lady method and it didn't really work for us. So, why not try this thing? So the whole idea is that you lay them down for bed. You do everything the way that you normally do. And, I don't know if that's exactly what the instructions that he found were, but that's what we were doing. Anyways, from what he read, you lay them down for bed, and then if they start crying, you immediately pick them up until they calm down, and then once they calm down, you lay them back down. And then if they start crying again, you immediately pick them up, and you do that as many times as you have to until they fall asleep. From what he read, the woman who wrote the article or the method or whatever it is, she said that when she did it, it took 126 times, I think it was. Like, she had to pick up her daughter 126 times and put her back down before she finally fell asleep the first night. And then the second night, it cut all the way down to like 60 or something. And then the next night, it was like 10, and then she didn't have to do it anymore. And she would just go to sleep when she put her down. And we were like, what do we have to lose? We're really trying everything, and this we haven't tried yet. So we sat down and we decided to take that method as well as some things from the other methods that we've tried and like make our own Leona method, like specific to our baby. And so we took the schedule from the Sleep Lady and like the picking up thing from this and like a couple little things from here and there, and rewrote our whole thing. We kept our schedule the same because we wanted to be consistent. We don't want to be like messing her schedule up, but we tweaked a little bit. We changed from going to Baby Einstein to start the bedtime routine and then getting ready for bed and then laying her down to going and getting her ready for bed, putting lotion on her, new diaper and pajamas, and then bringing her back out and doing Baby Einstein last, and then laying her down straight from that. And because that's how I do it when I do naps during the day, like I don't change her. So we just sit and I put on Baby Einstein or Sesame Street for like 5 minutes usually. And she watches it for 5 minutes, starts to get sleepy, and then I take her to the room and put her down and she goes to sleep. So we decided to use that and try kind of swapping up our bedtime routine. And then we wanted to start the pickup thing the next night, which would be Friday night, because all this discussion is happening on Thursday night. I lied. We wanted to try that on Saturday night. This discussion that we were having was on Friday night, and we'd already put her down, and there was tears and the whole shebang with the crying, and finally she fell asleep. And then that night we woke up actually I never even went to sleep. I was still awake. I couldn't fall asleep. So I was up on my phone and looking at the monitor, and I just happened to glance over to the monitor, and it was like probably like 11:45 or so, and I saw her throw up a lot. So I ran into the nursery, and we pulled her out and cleaned her up and changed the sheets and everything. And the poor thing, she just kept throwing up. She must have caught like a stomach bug or something, and she was just throwing up like crazy. So we were there in the nursery just holding her and trying to clean her up and help her through it for probably about 2 hours. And then she finally was able to get back to sleep, pretty much emptied herself, and then was able to fall back asleep. And I put her back in the crib to go to sleep, and she slept for a few hours there. And then she woke up because she was hungry, because of course her stomach was empty, and I hadn't nursed her in a while because I wanted to give her stomach time to settle before trying to nurse her a little bit. And so I woke up and went and got her, and I nursed her for like a real short time, just like a couple minutes, because I didn't want to fill her up and then have her keep getting sick. So we did just for a couple minutes, and we were going to do that every like 30 minutes or so and try to ease her back into eating, make sure her stomach was okay. And she nursed for a couple minutes and then fell asleep, and we just let her sleep in our bed with us. I don't feel guilty at all, you know. She didn't feel good. She was sick. She was throwing up. I felt better having her next to me because I was so worried that I was not going to hear her if she threw up again or something, you know, that I was not even sleeping anyways. I was like watching the monitor like a hawk. So she slept with us the rest of the night. And luckily she felt a lot better the next morning. So Saturday night we did our new Liana plan, and I actually had to miss it. I was gone. I had a church service that I wanted to go to that night, and so I left my husband to take care of bedtime and try the new method. And I normally wouldn't have done that, but this was like an important one that I wanted to make it to. So I left him home with her, and I went to church and came back, and he gave me the update, and she was already asleep when I got home, which wasn't that long after her bedtime anyways. And it took, let me see, I have it right here, exactly what it was. He laid her down at 6:25 p.m. and picked her up 17 times, and she was asleep by 7:05. So we were like, whoa, that worked way better than we thought it would, because the woman who wrote the article said that she had to do it like 126 times or something crazy like that. And we did it 17, or he did it 17. And so that was awesome. She still woke up her normal 1 to 2 times a night. I think it was 2 times that night to nurse, but she went right back to sleep, no big deal. And that's fine. I'm not worried about the nighttime nursing right now. I'm more than happy to feed her if she's hungry, even in the middle of the night. Not a big deal. And then Sunday night, which was last night, we did it again, except I did it this time by myself, since he did it by himself the night before. And I was actually worried that it was going to be harder because, she's a little bit more clingy to me because I'm the one who is with her all day and I'm the one who feeds her. So I was kind of worried that like her smelling me right there and like, just the fact that she's a little more clingy to me, that was going to make it more difficult. But we laid her down at 6:25. I picked her up 13 times, and she was asleep by 6:45. So it took less time and less picking up. So we were like, what? And then tonight we just laid her down, and it's 7 o'clock right now. So there's your first good news. Laid her down at 6:25, just like we always do. And Kenny went in, my husband, he was doing it, so we decided to kind of switch off. Plus, since I'm sick, I didn't want to be like dripping snot all over her trying to put her down, pick her up and put her down. So he did it by himself again tonight, and he laid her down at 6:25, and she never needed to be picked up. She didn't go to sleep right away, but she did not cry. She just laid down, rolled over, and kind of laid there. So he left the room, and then she was kind of like whining a little bit, so he went back in to so he'd be there when she started crying. And he went in and she wasn't crying. She had stopped whining and wasn't crying. So he sat down. We have like a little futon couch on the opposite side of their room from the crib. And he sat down on that and just kind of like waited, and she never started crying again. And I was watching her out in the living room on the monitor, and she was still awake, but she was just laying there just chilling. And then he came back out, and we watched the monitor and she was asleep at 6:40. So it took 15 minutes and she didn't need to be picked up once. So I don't know. I was so on board for this sleep lady thing, and I was so disappointed when it didn't work for us. And I didn't know if we were doing something wrong or if it just wasn't a good fit or what. And I still don't know. But for whatever reason, you know, she just never stopped crying every night for it, and except for those 2 magical nights. And this is night 3 of this, like, one that we made up and, like, stitched together from all these other methods, and it's working. So, I mean, knock on wood, but, I don't know. I think this is hopefully it. So, we'll see how it goes tomorrow night and the night after that, and hope if after a week it's still this easy and it looks like it's working, then I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a success. But, I mean, already compared to every other method we've done, this is the easiest one that we've had. Even with the crying, the last night and the night before, it was for such a shorter amount of time. And she never got to, like, the really hard crying, like the really sad, hard crying. Because as soon as she started crying, we'd pick her up and then she'd calm down and then put her down. So she would cry, but she wasn't really, like, legitimately crying. And so I'm really happy. I'm just so happy. I am beyond excited. I hated that she was crying herself to sleep, and this is day 3, and tonight she didn't cry at all, and she never needed to be picked up, and she went to sleep in like 15 minutes. I mean, that's faster than she goes to sleep for naps sometimes. So it's just, I'm like, if you can't tell, don't even have words right now. I'm so excited. She's sleeping right now. She's got a little blanket over her ear. She looks very comfortable, and she's definitely asleep. So I don't know, but that's what we did, and that's what seems to be working. So if everything else is failing you guys, then maybe you can try this and it'll work, because it's so far working for us. I guess I'll get back with you guys in a day or 2 and let you know how it's going. And maybe after, if this is all gravy and this works out, then maybe I'll do a nursery video, like a little show you around the nursery so you can see what our setup is and how everything looks. It's my favorite room in the house, so I'm pretty proud of it. I love that room. Anyways, thanks again for watching.